So it's Friday. We got that Friday feeling. How are you all doing? I hope all of you are getting on well with your manifestation journeys. Perhaps you're just looking for a bit of inspiration right now. Perhaps you're one of these people who have gone through a horrific breakup with your specific person and you're wondering, can this turn around? Can this turn around? We had a terrible breakup. We had a terrible argument. They're not going to forget it. They're not going to forgive me. How are they going to come back? Maybe you've manifested them once or twice before and you're wondering, what are the chances that I can do it again? Can this happen again? This is going to be a story that is hopefully going to inspire those of you who are having these thoughts and feelings. If this is part of your journey, you know that phrase of, hell hath no fury than a woman scorned. It was certainly the case for my client who, of course, we all get into these states, don't we, of anger, of desperation, neediness, vengefulness, I don't know. And of course, her breakdown with her specific person was so bad, so tumultuous, so hardcore. And this is the reason why I encouraged her to share what had happened with her specific person, because although at the moment she is on her SP journey, she is on her way to her wish being fulfilled, to her end result. And this is why she's come to me, because her issue, as you'll see from this story that she shares, her issue is not to do with manifesting her SP in. She's proven that she can do that about 3 times. The issue is the longevity of the relationship, the keeping of it, the not falling back into old patterns, old behaviors, old thought processes, our old state that caused the breakdown in the first place. But she's getting better each time. And now we're going to sort this out for her so that finally when SP comes in this time it's for keeps, this time it's different. But I wanted her to share her story so far because when she had told me about what happened with her SP and the breakdown and how she manifested him back, I thought this is probably going to be quite an inspiring story for a lot of you to listen to. So although she doesn't have her end result yet and we've started on that journey together, hopefully this is going to be quite inspiring for those of you who, like I say, have had, perhaps you did something that you truly regret with regards to your SP, this breakup. You're wondering, are they ever going to forgive you? Are they ever going to come back? You're wondering because you've manifested them once or twice before. Are they going to come back? You're wondering because it's such a bad breakup. This is for you guys. It's hopefully going to comfort you, as is the case with all of these. They're meant to inspire you, they're meant to comfort you, and please don't make comparisons to time spans and they did it in that amount of time, I should do the same. Remember, everyone's journey, everyone's bridge of instance is different. But hopefully this is going to alleviate the pain when it comes to circumstances and if you're really truly worried about your circumstances. So before I get started, I'm Athena Raven. I'm a mental health and manifestation life coach, here to empower and inspire you on your manifestation journey. So if you are enjoying the content and finding it useful, please do help this channel out by liking, subscribing, click that bell icon as well so you never miss a beat. And I intend to post up twice a week. My next post actually is going to be on Tuesday. I know I normally do it on a Monday, but I think it's going to be nicer to have a more even gap, isn't it? So Tuesdays is going to be from now on. Tuesdays and Fridays, do join me. And thank you guys for your constant support and love. This is a really wonderful place to be. And I love it. I love the Friday feeling. And I love that you guys are definitely finding a lot of benefit from these success stories. And this one, hopefully will put a smile on your face because it certainly put a smile on my face. Now, forgive me if I go a bit wonky with trying to read this, because I think that she was doing it text to speech. You know who you are, hun. So there might be some misspelling and stuff. So I tried to record it once before and I was stumbling so much. I thought I have to do this again. So we'll start off with her email. Her message said, so Athena, as promised, I'm going to give you I'm going to call it an ongoing success story. Because although 3D doesn't look exactly the way I want it to at the moment, it's getting there. And it has happened a few times already, with my SP each time evolving and becoming more and more conformed. And I apologize, I was going to send you a voice note for this, but I'm sure all of your devoted followers would much rather hear your lovely accent than my East Coast accent, which is not the case, hun, but okay. So she says, okay, so guys, please believe me when I tell you, if I can do this, any of you can too. And I'm here to tell you that I've had some of the worst circumstances imaginable, and against all odds, I have gotten my specific person to come back to me despite multiple third parties, despite police involvement. You see what I mean? And yes, I'm not kidding. Nothing abusive, don't worry, she says. I'll get to that. Despite him telling me I ruined his life, which was not true at all. In fact, it was quite the opposite, but he was just projecting despite him saying some of the most horrible things, and then coming back and telling me that I was his everything, the love of his life, and had me upside down and backwards so many times any sane person would have said, walk away from this individual. But it's not so easy when you love someone, hey? So don't let anyone discourage or dissuade you when your heart wants what it wants, because you can truly have it. Truly. Wise words, my girl, wise words. So she carries on. Since 2019, I have been on this journey. I have never loved anyone as I did my SP, not even my ex-husband. And I know that no one has ever loved me in this way either. Tumultuous at times, yes, but also just as much full of love and passion and deep connection. And I'm actually crying as I am talk messaging this out, because I do love him still. Here is the one thing I never doubted through any of the heartbreak, is that at the core of it, he absolutely loves me more than anyone. And I know that any other third party he had ever been with in between didn't hold a candle to me. In fact, he came back to me multiple times, saying exactly word for word what I believed in my mind. I think I've gotten him back about 3 or 4 times now. You see, she has no problem manifesting him back. So 3 or 4 times now. And although that's not the goal, we don't want to have SPs back multiple times. Each and every time it has taught me a lesson, and he has shown me what I need to work on within myself. And apparently I still have some tweaking to do. I have gotten him back after 2 months, after 7 months, and after a year and a half. And each and every time he has come back a bit better. We do have a little bit of a problem with his alcohol and his awful friends. And so that was one of the things I was working on. This is a man who is much younger than myself. We spent holidays together with our families. He has embraced my daughters as his own. This was the most significant relationship I've ever had outside of my 15-year marriage. This very last time when my specific person came back, the drinking had significantly reduced, and the toxic friends were, for the most part, not completely out of his life the way I had intended. However, he did move states away from me as well. She puts in brackets. So that way, he had less contact with them. So I consider that a win. And this very last time, he seems more mature, able to have conversations on things with me that we had never had before we started talking about going into business together, rescuing animals, something that is close to both of our hearts. And one night at dinner, he blew me away with things that were so profoundly beautiful and better than I could have ever imagined or hoped. For he verbalized what I had held in the back of my mind for some time, that he felt he probably sabotaged us all those times because deep down he didn't feel good enough, and he didn't feel man enough to give me what I deserved, which sounds like a load of BS, but I knew he was being sincere. This was real and raw. I saw him cry. I actually felt bad for him in that moment. And all of the terrible things that we said to each other and horrible circumstances from the past just seemed to evaporate. I do remember consciously letting go of the resentment I hold for him for so long. That's what allowed him to come back in. I do remember consciously letting go of the resentment I held for him for so long. That's what allowed him to come back in. I believe you guys. I had my moments of doubt and worry and fear and crying and wanting to give up and being hopeless. And I'm telling you, do not give up. Hold the belief in your mind's picture, what you want it to be. Visualize it. Hear your inner conversations with your person, because my God, it's magical the way this universe reverberates thought transmission. It's super, super real. I feel like I'm going all over the place here, but that's the kind of storyteller I am, so I apologize. But I feel you will enjoy this one. You will enjoy this one the most, because this was the worst period of circumstances for us. And if he could come back to me after all of this happening against all odds, I'm telling you, you guys can absolutely get whatever you want with your SP. You just have to believe it's possible. Don't obsess, just decide and let it go and live your best life, and they will come back. I want to tell you about the time that we had a 7-month, I'm going to call it, quiet time. He just had professed his love to me, telling me he wanted to move in together. And as a coincidence or synchronicity, it would have it, I saw him and caught him red-handed with a third party, not even 24 hours after he said all of this to me. And I created such a public scene. Oh, I let him have it. Screaming, crying, and him threatening to call the police only because he was guilty and so embarrassed. And then I offered to let the girl see my phone, as in the third party. At this point now, she was crying. I eventually drove off, heartbroken, destroyed, completely soul-crushed, and he never even contacted me for months. He knew he broke me. He then tried to come back to me again, saying, I can't let you go. I love you. You're my world, and I want everything that you want. How I wanted to trust this. But then that old monster of doubt, in fear, creeped in. And I started imagining scenarios where he was lying to me. And sure enough, I found out that she was still in the picture. So I did what any petty girl does. I printed out all of our texts and our pictures to prove that he was lying to her. I found out where the girl lived. I mailed them to her, about 100 pages. And he went wild, threatened the police again, and all of this stuff. Right? It was crazy. And then I'm talking, there were private investigators involved. Craziness, pure craziness. It was one of the lowest points in my life here. I was hurt, angry, confused, full of unanswered questions. I wanted him to fix this and he couldn't, and I knew better, mind you, than to try and do any of this in the 3D. But clearly, my human temper got the better of me. And after this, I was like, you know what? That's it. I'm done with him. I literally remember throwing my hands in the air and saying, like, God, take this, because if you don't, I'm going to go to jail. So I left this situation alone. I literally did everything I could to erase him from my life. I blocked him and I destroyed all of our texts, our pictures, and everything. I was done. Then months later, after doing a self-care evening, I remember feeling so at peace, and I wasn't even thinking of him or anything to do with the situation. I was literally just in this very calm, peaceful place, just enjoying my pets and my cup of tea. Sounds very British. I heard a knock. He showed up at my door, begging forgiveness, telling me he changed, that he did the hard work, and that he was going to keep becoming better. And also that he was moving out of state, and he wanted to make things right with me. I was both happy and heartbroken at the same time. I didn't make it easy for him. I let him know how he destroyed me for the better part of a year, and he did seem very remorseful. Again, there were tears. And then she said, he stayed with me that night. I was weak, okay? And I promised that if I gave him another chance, that he would do his best to try and make this work. Oh, and he promised that if I gave him another chance, that he would do his best to try and make this work. And although it did for a while, he flew me back to his house where he moved to, and we spent a wonderful week together. After that trip, things began to fall apart again. I'd gotten very emotional at dinner one night and started reacting to silly things. We did speak a few times after that, but it just kind of fizzled out. It was no big fanfare or fireworks like in times past. This was different. It's almost like he ghosted me. He just stopped responding. In a way, this is more hurtful. This is how you leave me after 5 years of this wild ride? And I know he loves me. I still don't doubt that. I do believe that's why this happened again and why this length of time is. Because I said to him not to come back to me ever again until he has passed all of his crap and he's gotten his act together and he is able to convince me consistently that he has changed. So I believe that he's got to work through some things. But I know he will be back again. I don't doubt that for a second. I don't even care who he's with or what he's doing. I just know he's coming back to me next as the best version of himself. And his exact words to me was, I ruined his life because I set the bar so high. What I'm telling you is each and every time he comes back, he has gotten worlds better. And I see the changes in both of us. I know this sounds exhausting, and believe me, to live it kind of is exhausting. But I have made the decision that, you know what, that's it. I am done with this merry-go-round, and we are getting what we want, the way we want it, once and for all. And if I can do it, you guys can too. I have dated other guys in between, but none compare to him, and I know it's the same for him. I'm already seeing some birds before land and some signs, whether you believe in those or not, but I do. And they have happened before he's come back every time, reliably. Tons of love to you all on this journey. It's not easy, but if you want this bad enough, you can have it. Just please don't give up. Your desires are there because you're meant to have them. And thank you, Athena. You're such a genuine, sweet soul. I'm so glad I found you. Thank you so much, darling. God, I nearly said your name at the end. But if you want to, hon, if you don't mind, you can, comment below. If other people want to ask you questions and that in the comments, feel free. But of course, I protect my clients' privacy, so I'm not going to share it without their say so, and I'm always going to protect their privacy. It's up to you if you want to go public and allow people to ask you questions. But how fascinating is that? You can understand why I wanted to get her to share it. And thank you so much, hon. That was really brave of you as well, because I know that we all get into these desperate situations, don't we? We go into this fight or flight mode. Something's happened. This is the thing with emotions of the heart. I think this is why I seem to be specializing in specific person manifestations lately, and pretty much since I started this channel. It goes in harmony with the mental health stuff, because it really affects us so badly, mentally, emotionally, even physically in many cases. And you can see that when you are in a state of turmoil and distress, we act out in ways that we end up regretting. But please don't blame yourself or judge yourself. We've all done things that we regret. And although we might look at her actions as drastic and that was taking it a step too far and whatever, this is not about judgment. This is about, when you are in that situation of desperation, you do act out. And it's your state of mind, your state of being that determines your actions and how you react to circumstances. So if you do feel for one reason or another, I'm being threatened here with abandonment or something that I'm truly, truly fearful of, I will do anything to stop that fear. Or I'm feeling so rageful, you wanting vengeance or whatever it is, we go and seek out the third party and tell them all the truth about SP and all. I think we all have at some point been in a similar situation, at least where we've lashed out and we've said stuff we didn't mean to. And then, of course, what happens is a lot of us get caught up in that and we get worried. Oh, how is SP going to forget about this? SP's going to hold on to this. You know what? If it's anchoring you that much, you can revise it, reframe it, change the meaning of what happened, perhaps change and alter the incident. Because I did that with my very first SP. We ended really bad. We had lots of terrible situations because he was addicted to drugs. So lots of terrible, horrible incidents, which I revised. And so when he came back to me, none of that came up. And if anything, he didn't seem to remember or reflect any of that because I had changed it. I had reframed it. I wasn't holding on to the past. And as a result, he wasn't reflecting any of it back. In fact, he seemed to forget a lot of the negative stuff and deemed himself a great boyfriend. And he and I had a great relationship. And it wasn't really the case. So it is what you make it. Are you going to make it a hindrance, this past? Are you going to allow it to be a blocker? And as she said, you know, she's got these very strong beliefs, assumptions, demands, like don't come back until you're fully healed. And so now she's associating this period of quiet as he is going through his change. When he comes back, he's going to be completely better and healed. This is not necessarily a bad thing, but of course we're putting conditions in our desire, in the way of our desires. Let's not put a condition on it. They need to heal. This is why it's quiet. You know, we're giving excuses to the silence. There is no silence. There is no such thing as no contact. You're always in contact. You're always connected because you're one, because they're an extension of you. They're connected to you. They exist through you, through your experiences, through your consciousness, awareness. This whole world exists through your consciousness. If you take away your awareness and your thoughts, perception, close off your senses, this world ceases to be. So it's not something separate to you. You're always living through yourself, always experiencing through your state. So let's not put these conditions in the way. Let's just see it as this is all part of the unfolding. And this time when they come back, it is for keeps. And we've got to start to see SP through new lenses, putting them in a new state, getting rid of the old labels and putting yourself in a new state too. Because like my client here and yourselves who are going through something similar, your higher self knows that the perfect relationship with that perfect person or specific person that you have, the perfect version of them, you know it exists. If you're encountering the cold or the avoidant or the whatever version, then the version of them that is stepping up, that is emotionally available, that is loving, that is connected to you, that's also in existence, because that's what the desire is. And you have the desire because you know that the possibility already exists. It's existing now. It's potential. Your consciousness can see it. Your consciousness is aware of it, but your 3D self at the moment is blind to it because you're not choosing to see it. You're not occupying that state. That's why we shift our state. So we can see that in spite of what 3D is showing. And so if you are worried about the past getting in the way, or how bad the argument was, or what happened with the third party, or these do not matter. She brought him back each and every time, and she knows he's going to come back again. I don't doubt that for a second. We're going to make sure that this time it is for keeps, and we're not going to, repeat the same pattern. And that's the issue that I think a lot of us have with specific person, because we're still looking at them through the same lens, through the same experience, and we're still labeling them with these limiting labels. So be aware of that. Take a step back and always see them as their ideal self, because that's what you truly desire. That's the version you want the relationship, right? Right. So I really hope that this was helpful. I hope that you enjoyed this. Thank you so much again to my client for sharing her experience so graciously. Love you guys. See you on Tuesday for the next video and have a great weekend.